Hey, welcome to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this one-man show, coming to you every Monday, 6 a.m. UK Standard Time. Yeah, we are so back. Welcome back once again. Summer seems to be, coming to a close, to be coming to an end, and this is going to be actually the last episode of August because next Monday is already 1st of September. Oh, lo and behold, it's getting there. But so I think it would be appropriate for me to end the month, and I would say therefore the summer, by talking about just in general, like music. I think overall, and how we basically did not have any summer hit, to be fair, but also in general, I think charts have been very stale this year. I think overall, like in terms of music that was released in 2025. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the music that was released this year has been stale itself, but it's more like nothing has really managed to chart this year compared to last year. Like last year was extremely fruitful when it comes to charts and everything else. But I think this year specifically has been quite low, quite uneventful. And I mean, I enjoyed a lot of songs that came out this year. It's been quite a ride, but there is something to be said about, I guess overall, just where we are at culturally, maybe, and like in terms of pop culture and consumption, but also maybe what most of the artists and their labels are missing, and they're not, getting quite right, and they're not probably reading what the people want the most at the moment. So yeah, I mean, there are several, I think, different reasonings behind this, like why are the charts so stale, and why are they still filled with songs from last year or even previous years. And I will sort of try to get into that. And I also do want to talk about what could we sort of look forward to for the last quarter of the year. And maybe if there's any hope there, I guess, for anything to, show off and pop out and maybe, come at the top. But yeah, so there's quite a lot. There's quite a lot to talk about. As usual, you can, stick around for the last part of the episode as well, where I give out my usual, songs of the week, which also, by the way, you can find them on Spotify. I put a playlist together every month with all the songs of the week that I talk about for that specific month. So you just simply need to search the Overshare Pamphlet songs of the week dash whatever month we're in year. So it will be August 2025 for this one. Anyways, yeah. Let's get into that. I would say first, it would be fun to look at, this week's current Billboard Hot 100 chart, to see just like what is like charting at the moment, and what is like number one and all that stuff. So if we go to the Billboard Hot 100, the week of August 23rd, I'm looking at specifically, we have number 10, Soda Pop by Soulja Boys, which is from basically the Netflix show K-pop Demon Hunters. Then we have a bar song, Tipsy by Shavuzi. Then Just in Case by Morgan Wallen. And then we have Lose Control by Teddy Swims. Then we have Daisies by Justin Bieber. Love Me Not by Reverend Lene. Your Idol by Soulja Boys from the Netflix show K-pop Demon Hunters. What I Want by Morgan Wallen and T. McRae. Golden by Hunter X also from K-pop Demon Hunters. And then number 1 is Alex Warren, Ordinary. So yeah. I would say most of this is either, as you could tell, from a TV show, or from, some of them are from last year, like a bar song Tipsy by Shabuzi. That is a 2024 song from April, I believe, or even before that. Maybe April, I think, yeah. It's been charting for 36 weeks. And, it's been on a top 10 for more than a year now, and it's still there. Then we have Just In Case by Morgan Wallen, which is a song that was released in April 2025, pretty early on in the year. Then we have Lose Control by Twenty Swims, which is a 2023 song that was released in August 2023. Daisies, which is, probably one of the freshest songs, at least for the summer, and it's, the newest from the newest album by Justin Bieber, and it was released in July 2025. So that's properly the proper only probably like summer song that was released during the summer, basically. Then we have Love Me Not by Ravin Lene, which was released in 2024. And I'm very happy about this. We've heard it's like it climbed up so much. I literally this album by Ravin Lene, like Bird's Eye, and this song has been one of my favorites since last year. I actually named this EP or album, this album, my second most favorite album of the year last year. So that's that. I'm very happy about that. But again, 2024. Then we have, again, the one at number 4, Your Idol, Soulja Boy again. That's TV show. And then I have What I Want. We have What I Want by Morgan Wallen and Tim McRae. So another Morgan Wallen song. And that is a song that was released in May 2025, which is, still pretty good. And then the number 1 spot is Ordinary by Alex Warren, which was released at the beginning of the year. I think it was February or something, or January. So that is quite, I would say depressing in the sense that, yes, there are some songs from 2025, but I think overall there are still songs that, like, either from the same artist that have been released quite a few months ago, like the Morgan Wallen songs. Those have been on the top 10 for quite a while. And then you have, many songs from 2024, 2023. Then you have a bunch of songs, like 3 spots are basically taken by the songs from this K-pop Demon Hunters movie, which is streaming on Netflix, which was a huge hit. And I'm not saying that the songs are not catchy or they shouldn't be on the charts and all that stuff, but I think you can tell that by these songs being on the chart, we're not, like, these are songs, this is an animated movie, by the way, so these are songs that are not necessarily performed live, or songs that are actually, they were meant to be, be for the general audience or something. And to me is also a sign that, people not necessarily finding what they want in the average, streaming forms, in that sense, like in the normal avenues of music. And they, because of the movie latching on so much, especially between the teens, I think the songs are really, staying there and holding space in that sense and taking it away from other songs. So that's something to be said about that. And I think, having still, for example, a bar song by Tipsy by Shabuzi, which was released like first quarter of 2024, or a song from 2023 by Teddy Swims still being on his chart is just, frankly, quite weird. Um, I mean, as I said, the only proper song that was released during summer is Daisy. And even then, I have to say that sorry, Daisies by Justin Bieber. And even then, I have to say the song, as many people may have noticed and I've seen on TikTok, is sort of nothing fresh, nothing new. It's something that was really similar to Harry Styles songs as well. So there's not much to be said there, but at least that's the only song that at least was released this year. But I don't think it has gained, the song itself, major traction in terms of international playlistings or anything of the sort. Like, this seems to be more like a US hit. And I know the Billboard Hot 100 is only US based in that sense. Like, it only talks about the US hits, but it's always been historically like a good measurement of how songs are performing generally. And yeah, so that's that, guys. Like, that's pretty bleak, I would say. Now, I did read some articles about this. There's a very interesting article by The Guardian that was like published, I believe, a month ago or something, that I really went back to, and I just wanted to like see if anything would have changed. And to be fair, nothing much has changed from that article. And it's an article written by Sam Wolfson. Yeah, it was published on 18th of July, I think, or something like that. But basically, many articles are pointing towards, a slump that has happened this year, and it is, 2025 has been the year that's produced the fewest new hit songs in US history. And, it could either be a signal of the end of having a single smash hit that captures everyone's attention, or it could also be, a sign that none of these artists and labels have managed, as of now, to hit the spot and read the culture quite as well. So yeah, I mean, the article itself also went into specifically like what I just did, basically looking at the Billboard chart and back in July, like last month. But the observations were quite similar. Like, again, Shabuzi still is to this day on the top 10, and at that point when the article was written, it was at number 5 on the Billboard chart. And they were commenting on, basically the authors were commenting on like how that is still like, it's stuck around for all this time, and it's quite, not to say that it's a bad thing, but it's just, quite weird. Again, Teddy Swims, Lose Control, still there, nothing has changed. Then we still had Die With A Smile and Luther by SZA and Kendrick Lamar, and all these other songs that were also from 2024. But yeah, most analysts and chart analysts are just concluding basically that this year has been quite the hitless year for American music in general, but just overall like mainstream pop hits. So yeah, I feel like apart from the summer itself, despite having quite a few, as I said, a few songs that came out beginning of the year, I think it's mostly just like Morgan Wallen, like, who has been sort of managing to chart stuff, and it's more on the countryside anyways, like country music. So nothing like purely pop has managed to like come through and take the general consciousness by storm. And I feel like also we've had so many big artists that have released this year anyways. Like, we've had The Weeknd, we've had Miley Cyrus, we had Lil Wayne, we had Justin Bieber, we had Lorde, we had Lady Gaga, and nothing really materialized from any of these projects apart from Daisies maybe by Justin Bieber. But as I said, even there, it's not necessarily paying off as much. Like I don't really hear it anywhere. If I have to be honest, that song. Um, but yeah, um, it's it's quite concerning. I think let's get to like the possible explanations. I think the main explanation, of course, one of the big threads that have been that's been quite present over the last few years is just the death of the monoculture and the fragmentation of our culture in general. I mean, it's something that I already talked on nauseam on the podcast, but it is something that is always increasingly concerning, I think. And it's just the way the culture is evolving, I think, overall. Basically, I mean, by the development of different means of entertainment and the curation of algorithms and, catering to the masses of very specific, like a very individualized experience on social media, I think everyone is getting their own tightly packaged, entertainment world in that sense, where it comes to like streaming services like movies and TV shows and all that stuff, but also with music, and so everyone is getting sort of like a very curated list and very curated service in that sense, so that we all basically start listening to very different things. And I'm not talking about different genres, I'm talking about specific artists, specific songs. So we all have our apps and our social media tailored so much to our own specific liking that it's very hard to find something that is common to everyone. Back in the days when back in the days, but 10 years ago maybe, or like even before that, because the means to receive new music and new entertainment was quite selective and quite sparse, we all had to tune in, I guess, for the same reasons and into the same like channels and apps and whatever. Like MTV used to be the only sole like means for people to like get to know new music, and so we all locked in and basically got exposed to the same type of music. Or like, I don't know, even when it comes to streaming, I don't think the algorithms were quite as developed and curated as they are now. So I think overall it's impossible now to have a strong impact from any new artist, to be fair. It's quite hard. I think the only one that really managed to like in recent history to sneak into the public consciousness is Trouble Roan, maybe. But again, it's quite hard to really break through if you're a new artist, because I mean, it's so, on the one hand it's quite fruitful in the sense that everyone can get a career in that sense, but you rarely see like global pop stars being created anymore, because it's quite hard to like actually capture everyone's attention nowadays. It's so hard for the reasons that I just said. Like, there's no single mean of exposure, or like people are all listening to and watching different things, and even when they're all using the same apps, we're all onto different sides of the same app. So it's the culture has been fragmented quite a lot, especially I think COVID accelerated that, like the pandemic accelerated that, and ever since then we've been sort of going all into different directions individually. So it is what it is. But this is not to say that there are no moments like that, though. I mean, to counter argue that, we did have last year several hits that really permeated and like went everywhere, basically. Like, I'm talking about Espresso by Sabrina Carpenter, or again, Die With a Smile by Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars, or I don't know, Apate by Bruno Mars and Rose, or what was it, like we had Brat Summer as well. We had Chapel Roan with her song, and like the single that she released last year. So last year was quite eventful. I think what really helped, I think, in that point specifically, was, I think, getting the right read of the culture. So what really, was going on with these songs. They were all very throwbackish, and they were all very, they had a specific nostalgia point to them, which really, helped getting these songs to the top. And I think also once they managed to crack into either TikTok or, just general audience, they managed to stay there for quite a bit. And I mean, as you can see, as I said, some of these songs are still charting to this day. But yeah, so it's not impossible. I think it's, I would say, like, the truth is it's like increasingly harder to be able to read the audience because of all the reasons that I said about the fragmentation. But also at the same time, I think if you're very capable of reading the room and managing to just, create a tidal wave. I mean, I think from the three artists specifically, like Charlie and Chapel and Sabrina, a whole ripple effect was created on the charts, and like a lot of songs started, jumping up, and there was a lot of simultaneous charting, so that was really, really beneficial for everyone. But I think this year, no one has quite hit the spot yet, and so because no one has actually hit the spot in that way, it's been quite hard for the labels to exactly know which direction to go into, if that makes any sense. Also, the article was bringing a good point that most of these albums have been, hyped up so much for this year. They've not focused at all on creating a smash hit. They've mostly focused on providing an album experience and an aesthetic that works for their fans rather than trying to appeal to the general public. And I mean, you can see with Lorde, for example, she hasn't produced any hit, but that's just how Lorde works and operates as an artist. She's not necessarily going for that smash hit, but the album itself was a very well curated and, executed vision for her fans specifically, and a very, artistic commitment in that sense. Addison Rae sort of was the same. Then you had stars like Lizzo and Justin Bieber, who used to have like billions of streams, but they have, they've not really gone into like a very obvious pop production, and maybe that's definitely helpful for them in their own, legacy as an artist. But yeah, there was basically no smash hit on those albums either. Even Sabrina Carpenter, like who I said, like last year was dominating the charts with like, Espresso, Please Please Please, Taste, all these songs from the same album. This year, even though she released Man Child, which did chart at number one for 1 week, she did not, manage to replicate the same success. Although her album is still not, the new album is still not out. It's coming out on the 29th, so that is something to like, still look into when it drops and see how it goes. But yeah, none of these artists have been able to really come through in that sense. Yeah, so it's just, it's just the way it is. I mean, it is also true that, the new music is like, there's new pipes through which like new music is being discovered. Nothing is ever set in stone nowadays anymore, so there's so many different ways where like, you can find new music, so that's just the way it is. And then, people no longer listen to the radio, no longer listen to like late night shows, so they don't get exposed, as I said, to the same stuff. And maybe the only unifying force at the moment is TikTok, but as I said, even then the algorithms are so curated, sometimes we're all on the same app but on different junctures, basically. So yeah, I think overall most of the songs on the charts are also quite forgettable. There's nothing that really is sticking anymore. So I think also maybe different genres are really permeating the new releases. And again, as I said, that caters towards more specific audiences rather than the beauty about a pop song is that is for the popular culture, right? It's gem pop stuff. So once you start deviating from pure pop in that sense, you start getting into like R&B, hip hop, and all that. You are less likely to have a proper hit in that sense. And I think you can see from a lot of these like releases this year, there's been a lot of venturing in different genres that has not necessarily yielded any results. Results as in charts. No, I'm not talking, of course, about the quality of the music. Don't get it twisted. Like, there have been incredible songs this year that have been released, but I'm talking specifically about chart success in that sense. I would say maybe if you look outside of the US, of course, Bad Bunny is probably the only maybe example that really hit the spot in the streaming services. But and even then, like Sabrina Carpenter, Drake, all these people, Taylor Sign, they've all overall managed to make great numbers anyways. So it's not to say like the people are not listening to music at all. That's not the case, but it's just I think we've quite hit the spot and found what we really wanted this year to be like. And another possible explanation for this is that we're very much into still the recession situation of it all, and people are it's been proven multiple times by analysts that people try whenever these harsh times come around, we just start listening to we start revisiting old catalogs like 2010s, and escapism is just a big trend in these years. So maybe that's something to actually look into, and maybe something to replicate to get a number one hit or a total smash hit. So yeah, I think it's a mixture of many different things, like the deterioration of the monoculture, but also I think overall people not quite getting a read of the pulse of the culture at the moment, and a lot of escapism going on at the moment, which I think all play into this very stale year in terms of pop hits. So yeah, I think although it's not all lost though, I think we can definitely like look into what's coming up in the last quarter of the year. And I think for me, what comes to mind immediately are three main artists. Sabrina Carpenter, who's, as I said, releasing on the 29th of August. And then we have Doja Cat, 27th of September. And then we have Taylor Swift, October 3rd. Now, let's just think about exactly what we're like looking at, in a sense that what are all these three artists going for, right? They're all going for actually very different things, I think, but that's helpful in a sense that we're going to be able to see what's going to come out of this, like what actually, if any of them are going to be successful, and if they are, maybe that's a good sign of what to do for the next year as well, and maybe their success can be like carried over to the next year. But Sabrina Carpenter is quite hard to tell at the moment what she's going for. I think with Manchild, I thought that she was going to go for a re-up of Short and Sweet, which I think it was a bad idea because Manchild, as I said, sounds like a song from that album and did not perform as well as the other songs because we already heard it. Sort of that sound, but I'm starting to change my mind of what is going on here because I've just watched. Well, I watched it yesterday. The teaser video for her upcoming single. Was it called Tears? And that's coming out the same day as the album. Like that's going to be pushed basically as a single from the album, and the teaser is quite different from Short and Sweet and from Manchild as well, I would say. That song, well, that video at least, we don't know anything about the song, but the video is very horror coded, very Hollywood core, but like nods to classic horror movies and like, for example, Jennifer's Body as well. And it does feel more like it's leaning into the autumn and into the spooky season of it all. So maybe she is going for a more autumnal album, and she is going to give us something different. And maybe Man-Child was just like, a single that she wanted to. She thought she was gonna like chart well and give an. Oh well, to be fair, it did yield a number one, so that's already something going for the like has it going for the album. So that's something great. But we have surprisingly heard nothing about this album. We have um no explanations. Like we have no chats about what the album it can be about. So yeah, I mean that could be quite interesting. It could go either way. But yeah, I'm very curious. Like with that teaser, just like really made me 1,000% more curious about the album overall, and whether she's gonna pivot and do something different with the sound and all that. So I'm gonna keep my eyes open and my ears open as well. So let's see. But if she is pivoting, I think that would be a great idea for her, and maybe it is something that can yield some success, I think. And then we have Doja Cat, who's coming out with her album V on the 27th of September, I think. But she already released a single this past Friday, which, by the way, is going to be on my playlist of the month. But that song is very throwbackish. It's very R&B 80s, but very Michael Jackson coded, actually, I would say. The music video is incredible. So many nods to the 70s and 80s type of music videos, and the song is produced super well. Like on paper is a very big pop song. Like it's just very catchy, very cool, incredible production. She has a rap verse as well that is so captivating, and she also has a very incredible high note towards the end of the song. So that's something very new for Doja Cat, like in terms of vocals in that sense. But overall, like on paper, this has all the elements for a great pop song. It's called Jealous Type, by the way, the song. But we shall see if people have had enough of the of the throwback R&B and of the throwback 80s in that sense. So that's something to be seen when the first week has gone through for the charts, and see if it manages to chart anywhere in the top 10. Maybe because it's so quiet at the moment, maybe will chart. We shall see. It does have like a lot of space at the moment to like break through, to be fair. So like there's not, as I said, like, there's not much going on. So maybe this could be a good opportunity for the song to actually flourish. But we'll see. We'll see if people connect to it, and we'll see if people actually are interested in this sound. I mean, the album seems to be very much inspired by this era as well. It seems to be a lot into that, which I'm personally like looking forward to, because I think while we had a lot of disco revival and 80s revival, I don't think anyone's quite done like R&B, pop R&B, like Michael Jackson type of music quite as well, and actually has not really done it as much. It hasn't really leaned into the genre as much. So I think it's still quite fresh in my opinion. And she is, one thing about Doja Cat is she commits to the era and to the vibe and to the aesthetics of it all. So I'm personally very looking forward to this project. But we need to see if the general population is interested in that overall. And then we have Taylor Swift. And now here is why I think she still stays on top and still is such a smart artist and like a genius, I would say, overall. And infamously, as my previous episode, as you may have heard, she is going back to a very, important collaboration that she's had, in the past. She hasn't collaborated with Max Martin basically for the past 7 years, and this is a return to form sort of a bit, but also I think a new exciting collaboration. And as I've been saying for in this episode, people are going back to the 2010s. They want pure pop. They seem to be wanting smash hits, and they want something that is like very palatable. And from the way the album has been presented to us, the life of a showgirl, and this collaboration, which is, as yielded in the past incredible smash pop hits like Blank Space, like 22, like All You Knew Were Trouble, like We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, like Shake It Off, like all these songs. I think, and I mean the album has been presented to us as being a very concise 12 songs project, and to be full of smash pop songs. And if this is the quality matches that, I think we have a great end of the year coming for us. I think there's definitely something for there. And I did name the last episode I put out, Taylor is, coming back to save, the music industry or something, because she is. I personally think maybe this is what people want. I think maybe people want actually that undeniable hook that's gonna be in your head for ages. And who better than Taylor Swift, Max Martin, and Shellback to produce that, to create that? And I think they will. I think there's a high chance that will materialize very, very well. So you just have to be patient. Let's see what happens. I'm very confident that that's going to be quite something. Or at least, I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with that, because I personally am a huge fan of the Max Martin and Taylor Swift collaboration. And 1989 is my favorite album overall by Taylor Swift. And I know it may sound shallow, but I think there's just something incredible about an album like that is just skipless and has a front to back banger production, and overall, like, every single song on that album could be a single. Like, it's just something insane about that. Like, it's just one of the catchiest albums I've ever listened to, and with substance as well, which is what really makes that collaboration really stand apart. I think it's because, like, Taylor brings that confessional songwriting that is really, really unique, but also brings her own melodic capabilities, and then Max Martin just elevates it and gives it that actual, undeniable splash hit. Like, he is the hit maker. So I think we're ready for that. I think personally the culture is ready for that. I think we're ready to, like, go back to that, to having, like, just undeniable catchy hooks. So we'll see how it goes. But anyways, that's all for the episode. Now I'm gonna apart from the song that I already talked about, I'm gonna give off a couple more songs that I really have been listening to. And again, as I said, you can find them wherever. But on Spotify you can definitely find the playlist for sure. One of the songs I want to talk about is Haiku by Genevieve. Just pure R&B bliss. I think this song is so catchy. The vocals and the vocal performance and the vocal melodies here are just insane. I still cannot wrap my head around, like, which one is a chorus and which one is the verse. I think it has a very interesting structure, the song itself, but it's all insanely catchy and very, very, very good. Her vocal performance here is just wow, just incredible, incroyable. Then I wanted to add Plot Twist by At Heart, K-pop song. I still cannot exactly tell you what this reminds me of, but it is a bit throwbackish as well, like 2010s mostly, I think. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure, but this song is so good. Such a good pop song. Really, really good. I already said Jealous Type, of course, by Doja Cat. That, if you like that sort of vibe, please do look into it. And then one last song, More by Carly Rae Jepsen. This is like an additional song that was released in preparation for 10 years of Emotion by Carly Rae Jepsen. So this is like from her vault, I guess we can say, of her songs. And this is so good. This song is such a bona fide pop song, like, just great stuff. This is like exactly what I'm talking about, like 2010s type of smash hits, very catchy, incredible production, super super catchy. Has a bit of a Dua Lipa endless summer vacation type of a situation there, but this technically was conceived way earlier than that. So I would say if you're looking for something like that, just go and have a listen. Go and have a listen. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you see, you come and listen to the playlist as well, because I think there's a lot of fun on there. And I'll catch you in the next episode, next month, basically. Bye.